Copyright and Educational Use Notice. This training video is provided solely for educational and instructional purposes and forms part of the learning resources accompanying the book Fashion Stylist. The images displayed within the mood boards are the copyrighted works of their respective photographers, designers, brands, or rights holders. These images are shown only for visual reference, analysis, and the teaching of fashion styling concepts. No ownership of these images is claimed, and no endorsement or affiliation is implied. This content may not be copied, downloaded, recorded, shared, redistributed, or reused in any form. Welcome, darling! I'm so excited to be talking to you. This is the first of 2 training videos to accompany the book Fashion Stylist. And spoiler alert, there's a second video training at the end of step 4. In this video, we're going to focus on assembling the mood boards, drawing from the information you've just read in step 2. You now understand that the mood board is a powerful creative tool that is crucial to master. I'll show you the tips and tricks mentioned in the chapter so you can get your head around them. In the next video, we'll delve deeper into interpreting the styling and picking out all those wonderful styling references. So don't worry, that's coming soon. But for now, let's focus on getting started on using all your incredible inspiration and assembling some fabulous mood boards. As I've mentioned in the book, I'm certainly not the design queen of Adobe Creative Suite, so I keep my mood boards simple. But simple doesn't mean lazy or thoughtless. It just means the thinking is in the image selection, not the decoration. Placing your images like this in a grid on a white background is perfectly fine. What matters the most is you choose images that are effective at communicating your message about the fashion styling. The concept and mood should be evident the moment someone opens your board on screen. What's most important is it oozes key information relevant to your concept, such as the clothing colour, pattern, silhouette, texture, or any other influential styling details. It's also important that your mood board conveys the character, the energy, art direction, or any props if you wish to use them. This is a mood board I created for a luxury brand editorial that was shot at the Peninsula Paris. You can instantly see it's very fresh, it's beautiful, it's effortless, chic. I wanted the model to pose with fresh flowers as if we just stumbled across her when she's at home. As you can see, the styling involves suits worn casually without a shirt, cozy sweaters, roll necks, and elegant blouses. Every single image on that board was carefully considered so that it conveyed the message instantly. This board is an Editor concept, and the references immediately show this. It's fashion-forward, editorial, with layering being at the forefront of the fashion direction. Again, the construction of this board itself is very simple. It's just 3 lines of images side by side. So never worry about if you're doing the layout right or wrong. Your way is your way, and that is awesome. I purposely have a lot of images on this board as we were shooting a large editorial and I wanted references to sink my teeth into. But I must stress that every image used has been carefully considered and is on the board because it adds value. And by saying value, I mean it either strengthens the mood, clarifies the styling direction, or reinforces the story. If it's not doing one of those things, it doesn't belong. When creating your mood board, edit to what's essential and stick to my mantra, all killer, no filler. As you can see, all the images I used are high quality, inspirational, and exciting. Remember, if you want people to be blown away by your mood boards, then use amazing imagery. Pretty average images don't excite the viewer. I want to highlight that you don't need tons of images on your mood board. 6 edited, precise images will convey your concept more than 6 brilliant images combined with 6 wishy-washy ones. So avoid adding images if they're not strong or they're just plain irrelevant. This mood board was for a high jewellery story comprising of millions of euros worth of products. We were only going to see the model from the waist up, and the story was shot in a studio with colourful backdrops. The styling consisted of bright, bold pops of colour, large tulle ruffles around the neck, and faux feather texture. And of course, there was a big focus on illuminated nails and fists stacked with colourful jewels. 6 images was enough to convey my idea. you can get it immediately from looking at this mood board. As I mentioned in the chapter, a great way to work is to start off with lots of images and identify which are the weaker ones and get rid of them. Then, review the images that remain and continue to edit your selection until the core message is clear. As you're assembling your mood board, think how the way you place the images together can be a reflection of the theme and overall concept. Here I've adopted a maximalist approach with images layered on top of each other. It adds to the feeling of disco partying and glamorous chaos. We can really feel the electric energy, and assembling the board like this gives a voyeuristic perspective on the high fashion mayhem. If I'd laid the images out in a simple grid for this idea, the board would not have the same visual impact. I've changed the negative space to purple, which is a colour featured in some of the photographic references. I felt white detracted from the board, but adding purple keeps your eye sucked in on the imagery. This is a very subtle trick that makes the board stronger, so play around with background colour if you feel it will add to the narrative, mood or overall concept. Again, every single image I chose is relative to the narrative and the styling. If you like the idea of playing around with the background, you could fill the background or any negative space with imagery that complements and aids the storytelling. Here's an example of where I filled the negative space on the board with images of trees to echo and enhance the concept that we would be shooting in a woodland amongst greenery. These tiny details all add up to tell the story and give the big picture. In contrast, I've kept lots of negative space on this mood board because it complements the concept. It was a very clean, cool men's story that I shot in New Jersey some years back. A white studio shoot centered on black and white clothing with a few pops of colour. The garments feature clean lines and stripes. There's a sophisticated, sporty ease to the styling. The way I've laid out the images on the mood board and left negative space mirrors that cool, clean, minimal approach. Okay, let's get into grouping sub-themes together. You can do this for colour, texture, pattern, silhouette, etc. In the chapter, I mentioned it's helpful to group sub-themes together on the mood board, so I wanted to give you a visual reference for this. Again, this is a very subtle tip that can strengthen how people read your mood boards. On this particular board, I've added subgroups based on colour. On the left-hand side, I've added all the red looks and the darker burnt orange. On the right, I've grouped the yellow-gold looks. Below, the black outfits, and along the bottom, the teal moving into greys. It makes the information easier to read, and since colour played a prominent role in this story, it highlighted each colour that would be featured. You could apply this approach to organising outfits by colour, texture, pattern, etc., or perhaps even separating formal looks from informal looks if you intend to shoot both as part of the same story. I wanted to break down the difference between art direction and location because sometimes people can get a bit confused here. In short, art direction is the overall vision and concept. Location is one of the tools used to express and support that. Like every other part of the image-making process, they go hand in hand. For example, your idea for the art direction is raw, modern, coastal minimalism with a cinematic feel. Your location that supports that vision is an abandoned, brutalist building by the sea with concrete facade and rusted metal accents. People in the fashion industry move between using words like art direction and location constantly, so never worry about saying the wrong thing. The ideal scenario is being very clear and concise, so you get all of the stunning visual information on one board, including the art direction and location if applicable. In fashion, art direction and/or location is never neutral. It influences styling choices, colour palette, silhouettes, movement, model casting, and more. Here's an example of a mood board that showcased the styling and art direction and captured the feeling of the shoot location. We planned to shoot in a snowy mountainous area with the option of including an industrial factory. The character had a modern Ice Queen vibe. I carefully selected the images that show the art direction mood with blue, silver, white and black being my colour palette for the clothes. These colours mirrored the colours in the landscape. The styling features dramatic dresses that either have a molten-like silky train, voluminous proportions with faux fur and cruelty-free feathers, and lots of padded wraps. I chose these textures and silhouettes because they could hold their own and command attention against a vast backdrop of snow. Additionally, my vision included customized, intricate headpieces and hoods with flowers, ribbons, and beads. The headpieces add extra drama to the looks, but also make for a striking close-up portrait shot, which I had factored into my decision-making as we had a celebrity front cover to capture. There's a lot of beautiful styling references on this board, and it perfectly conveys the location and setting too. Every single image on the mood board has been thoughtfully edited down to a final selection. No need to add more. I know this sounds like a lot, but trust me, this is what separates someone who likes fashion from being a stylist who can actually lead a shoot. This was a super sexy fashion editorial shot at night around the streets of Paris. The character is irreverent, expressive, daring, and alluring. I was able to combine outdoor references alongside the fashion to give a fully rounded expression of the narrative, creative, and mood. Not every image is from Paris. Some are from London and Italy, but it doesn't matter, we still get the creative idea. So again, it's great if you can get all of the information down clearly on one board. This is a more advanced example. I appreciate you might not be flying a team out to Paris for your first few shoots, but I want you to see where the skill can take you. You could absolutely apply the same thinking to a local location near your home, such as a coffee shop, a beach, or a park monument. Here's another example of combining art direction and styling references all on one board. The steps and architecture featured heavily in this shoot and played a huge role in deciding hair, makeup, and clean, contemporary, monochrome styling. I am always thinking about the hierarchy of images. Which image leads the story and which one supports it? In this case, the location was a key component that led the narrative mood and visual language of the project. But in some cases, it can be tricky to find images that give a clear indication of the styling and highlight the location. In such cases, capture the mood, narrative, and essence of your shoot with strong fashion references. And all you have to do is simply add a second page to your mood board with the images of the location and save both combined in a PDF. Sometimes this can really help the viewer understand your concept by removing any confusion. However, I must emphasize, in the beginning, it can be very tempting not to edit, and I've seen students create numerous boards for different elements in their shoot. The best thing you can do in the beginning is to be disciplined. Train yourself to get all of the information down on one board, and only add elements like location separately if it's truly required. Likewise with set design. If you have an idea that involves creating a set, or indeed collaborating with a set designer, you may or may not need to do a separate board for this. It depends on the images that you can locate. The ideal scenario is always finding references that convey the art direction, set design, and styling all together. But if you can't make it happen on one board, working this way is always an option too. For example, with this mood board here, most of the clothing is white and dresses. I may have a completely different concept for the styling, such as sharply tailored oversized suits, strong shoulders, and voluminous A-line trousers, all in shades of taupe and neutrals. The model with natural makeup, dewy skin, and hair scraped back in a low-slung ponytail. In this case, I'd label the board art direction or set design, and then keep it separate to the fashion references. But remember, every element of the image-making process works hand in hand. Decisions in one area influence decisions in another. Everything needs to work together cohesively. Now for those glorious hair and makeup references, when to include them on your mood board and when to keep them separate. When I'm creating my mood boards, I'm always thinking of the character of the person I'm dressing, which informs the casting and naturally the hair and makeup. Here's an example of a mood board that features one strong image that captured the mood, the styling, the hair, and the makeup. I'm circling it now in the center. When you find something like this, it's just pure gold, so make sure it takes a prominent place on your mood board. For this shoot, I sent the image to the team and we all loved the braided hair with bits of spikes in it and the makeup with the heavily shaded cheekbones, bleached eyebrows and dark smudged makeup. The hair and makeup artists used this one reference to create the initial look and then build upon it for the day. So for this board, there was no need to keep the hair and makeup references separate. We'd found our muse and she'd informed everything. However, sometimes it's best to give a very clear indicator of what exactly the makeup and hair references will be. Firstly, your glam team aren't mind readers and they're looking to you to lead the direction, so it's best to be precise and give them clear ideas. A lot of seasoned hair and makeup artists will only need to see one image, or they might search for a couple of additional references to show you how they can build on your idea throughout the day. Creating a simple board with one strong reference for makeup and one strong reference for hair can be enough. It's clear and precise. If you create a board with 15 different references for hair and makeup that are all going in numerous directions, it can be so counterproductive. It can confuse the team and reads like you don't actually know what you want. Of course, there will be times when you see 2 or 3 images for hair and makeup and you want to express ideas that are interconnected. It's absolutely fine to show these. But the one thing I noticed from working with hundreds, if not thousands, of aspiring stylists is that when it comes to deciding on hair and makeup, they go off piste in a dozen different directions. You need to be specific with your visual messaging, and for this reason, I challenge you to get your hair and makeup references down to one image each, as this will encourage you to develop discipline, edit, and refine your visual sensibility. Cropping images and collage, keeping the focus relevant to your mood and fashion direction. And lastly, I wanted to touch on some simple tricks that can elevate the storytelling and keep your mood board on point. Here's the iconic Erykah Badu, absolutely love her, in the most magnificent outfit. Now this yellow suit and tartan scarf could be perfect for your mood board, but the big hat she's wearing takes things in a completely different direction to your vision. Rather than leave the hat in the mood board and confuse the viewer, simply crop it out. Sounds obvious, but so many stylists don't do this simple thing and then wonder why clients pick up on elements they didn't intend to include in the styling. Likewise with hair and makeup. As I mentioned in the chapter, this point is especially applicable when creating mood boards for advertising clients who will scrutinize every little detail. If the outfit is perfect for displaying your ideas about the styling, but the hair and makeup is going in a completely different direction, then make sure to crop the head out of the shot so that the emphasis remains exactly on what you want people to look at and not what you don't want them to look at. And hey, you could even put your muse's head on top of the body to showcase the hair and makeup idea with the look. This isn't necessary, but sometimes it can be a playful way to help the viewer understand your idea. Play around with collage too if you enjoy it. Collage can be a very simple way to demonstrate your vision. This is a quick board I whipped up for a commercial client. They understood the look immediately and approved it. It's not fancy, it's not technically brilliant, but it does communicate my ideas effectively. If you are leaning heavily into juxtapositions and can't find images to express what you're thinking, collage works particularly well in these instances. And for those who love collage, why not try creating some mood boards by ripping and tearing some physical images? It's a fun way to work and expand on your ideas. And remember, there's so many ways to find inspiration. Not all of your references need to be fashion references from magazines or campaigns. Look at art, photography in fields outside of fashion, film, nature, animals, TV dramas, street style, the list goes on. Inspiration is everywhere, so if you are inspired by something, then bring those gorgeous references into your mood boards too. So that's it, my dear. I've given you my insider tips and tricks on how to create your mood boards. I can't wait to see what you do, so feel free to mention me on Instagram @ChristineKilty and I'll be sure to check them out. Remember, I have a second bonus training video for you at the end of step 4. You'll find the QR link to that video at the end of the chapter. Here we'll delve deeper into mood boards And again, I'll talk you through how to define your styling and unpick the references so that you know exactly what to source before your photo shoot. I'll show you how to interpret character, art direction, location, colour palette, pattern, volume and proportion, fabric texture, accessories, and amplifying styling details. So for now, have fun, play, and create the most fantastic mood boards that you cannot wait to shoot. Enjoy the next few chapters in the book, and I'll speak to you very soon. Much love!